Before we get to Doug Christie, same question, Jason. Take out Milwaukee. Orlando's in a different spot.
I feel like they would want someone like DeRozan.
Well, if they want somebody like DeRozan.
Or could want someone like DeRozan.
I think that'd be a great fit. And if they were willing to do it, I've got the perfect trade. Let me turn my screen here so you can't see. The salaries match up perfectly. This guy is signed, sealed, and delivered. Both guys are under contract for a few years. I knew it was. I would kiss Scott Perry on the mouth.
Would you?
If he could. Well, I consider, with no disrespect, because he's a phenomenal player and a future Hall of Famer, but I consider DeMar DeRozan a loose asset. I don't believe he's an asset. I won't know if Scott Perry, one of the benchmarks for me as to whether or not Scott Perry is doing his job correctly is going to be whether or not DeRozan and LaVine are on this team next year. If we open next year and they're both on this team, Scott Perry's not doing his job, in my opinion. Yeah, the Bulls proved it. We've proved it. They're too repetitive. You cannot be a top 15 team in the NBA defensively with DeRozan and LaVine on the floor at the same time.
I agree.
Okay, so you got to move them. And the problem with DeRozan, he takes up a lot of airspace. He really does. He's not a three-point guy.
He's pretty good at it, though.
When he wants to, but when the toe's not on the line. But he's your midi guy, right, which has value.
Mm-hmm.
He's a clutch guy. He's a leader. He's a respected vet. He's a great locker room presence. All those things would be perfect for the Orlando Magic at where they're at right now. Add a little bit more reliable offense. They've got good defensive players in place. Jonathan Isaac. Now here's the thing with him. A lot of us have written, by the way, he's a Florida State guy. And I don't like Florida State. Truly, I'm not a Florida State basketball fan when it comes to the NBA. Here's where Isaac is really interesting. If you told me Jonathan Isaac was going to be relatively healthy, that's a steal of a trade, in my opinion. It fits perfectly with what the Kings should be trying to do, which is establish a bit of a defensive identity. You're now going to be able to, let's say that was the only move they made. You're now going to be able to surround Zach LaVine with the Keon Ellises of the world, the Keegan Murrays of the world, even the Domantas Sabonises of the world. And now you have some semblance of good individual defenders and help defenders together, both on the floor at the same time. And Doug's going to be able to do some things there. When you look at Isaac's numbers, what the hell are you talking about, Dave? He played 71 games last year. That's good.
Really good.
That's the most he's played since his second year in the league. He played 27 his rookie year, 75 the year after that, and then 34. He did not play between 2020 and 2022. Then he played 11 in 22-23, 58 last year, and then 71. And he averaged 5.5 points, 4.5 boards, a little over a block, a steal. You look at the numbers, you go, what the hell are you talking about? But that's what I am talking about when it comes to the type of player this team needs. I don't need Jonathan Isaac to come in and score. I don't. What I need him to be is the defensive anchor. I need him to give some help on the perimeter with Keegan Murray and then surround them with offense. I'm not saying Isaac's going to win this team a championship. I'm not saying Isaac's going to make this massive impact. What I'm saying is, I'm not confident in the value we can get for DeMar DeRozan and what his market is. Mm-hmm. So if Jonathan Isaac ends up coming back for DeMar DeRozan, that's going to be on the higher end of what I think they can get for him.
Yeah.
That's my argument.
I agree 100% on I think this team can't have DeRozan and LaVine back to start next year. I would work on the LaVine one. That's me. I think it's more difficult. Mm-hmm. I feel like Kings fans have been maybe fair. I wouldn't say unfair, but what our old boss, what was his saying? Don't confuse
effort with results.
DeRozan got results, but I don't think in the way Kings fans wanted them.
Sure. I don't. When you say work on LaVine, what do you mean? Work on moving LaVine?
Mm-hmm. I know it's more difficult. I 100% know. It's not impossible. It's more difficult. That's what I would do. I'm not saying that's the right thing.
Do you think DeRozan's? I mean, I'm asking.
They don't have to keep DeRozan,
right?
But I mean, it's like, hey guys, DeRozan's the best player. Like, you can't move. No, of course you can. You can move both.
Do you think DeRozan's a better player than LaVine?
Yes, I do.
Really?
I do.
I don't know that I don't.
Tell me why.
I was just going to say, okay, I think LaVine.
I think they're both negative defensive players.
I agree with you.
I would say, look, now that we've seen each of them, we see the faults, right? I think DeRozan's, if we're really breaking down his faults, I would say most people would agree. Like, there's stopping of the offensive flow.
Yes.
But a lot of times the stopping of the offensive flow still might result in a basket.
That's
now,
true.
that's not, I'm not saying it's the most aesthetic and fun thing to watch. And I think he's guilty of giving grenades. Like, oh, I'm in trouble. Oh, Dave, you shoot with 1.1 left and I'm beyond the arc.
That's very true.
Yikes. But the difference between the two, to me, so far, and maybe Zach needs more of a runway here, is Zach sometimes disappeared.
Yes.
DeRozan will get his shots. That's a strength or a weakness, depending on how you look at it. There's never a game where you go, where was DeRozan? Now, he might have been 5 of 19, but Zach LaVine could go 2 of 7. And I'm like,
that's right.
Oh, wow. He played 38 minutes. What did he do? And there's other games. And each game's guys will sneak in and get assists and rebounds. And I don't know. I think they are very repetitive in a little bit of their differences, though. Like, LaVine can get hot, but so can DeRozan.
Yes.
LaVine's a better shooter, shoot, like a distant shooter. I like that DeRozan gets the line. His fourth quarter abilities, winning time, like he's there. But I also don't know that either one is the difference maker. I just think I think you, based on salary, could potentially get more for LaVine. Now, you also might have to take something on that you're not wanting to, but that's where I would go. Again, I'm not saying it's the right way.
So
maybe it's both.
Let's put salary to the side because that complicates the argument. It's a factor, but when you're talking trade value, DeRozan probably has a slightly more trade value because of the salary. But the conversation is who's the better player. I would say we're just looking at the numbers, which I don't think tells the whole story. Admittedly, the only places where DeRozan is better than LaVine.
Is this year or
this is just this past year?
Okay.
I don't know. I just thought that was the most fair. 4.4 assists to 4.2.
This is for DeRozan.
This is DeRozan 4.4, LaVine 4.2. 0.4 blocks to 0.2 blocks. 85% to 82% from the line. Those are they are tied in steals exactly. And oh, by the way, and DeRozan played 3 more games, but I feel like that's a wash because LaVine got traded. Yeah. LaVine scores a point more a game. Their rebounds and assists are almost exactly the same. LaVine's 3-point percentage 44 to 32, field goal 51 to 47. If you want to get into analytics, his box plus minus is 0.7 to DeMar's minus 0.1. Value over replacement player 1.8 for LaVine, 1.3 for DeRozan. Now, even that being said, now you add in LaVine's 5 years younger. I believe LaVine's the better player, but not by a ton. And situationally, I'd probably rather have DeRozan in the clutch than LaVine, admittedly. But I will, every single thing you said, I totally agree with, but I'm going to counter one, which is DeRozan is probably more guilty of being a ball stopper and taking over the offense, good or bad. LaVine disappears at times. I would say, I think, and I could be wrong here, the easier one to work with would be getting LaVine to increase his output, especially because he was on a new team, rather than good luck getting DeRozan to decrease his output and his need for the ball. Now, when you factor salary in, hey, listen, if you told me, I mean, honestly, right now, Jason, if the Kings had the opportunity to release Zach LaVine with no salary cap implications whatsoever, other than they now gain that $45-46 million under the cap to spend on somebody else, but they get absolutely nothing in return, do you do it?
Yeah, so I'd have the freedom of the 46 million.
That's right.
Yeah.
So would I.
Yeah.
That's his value.
Yeah.
That's his value. I would release, after acquiring Zach LaVine in exchange for, amongst other things, De'Aaron flipping Fox. I would, if I was the GM of the team and I had the option, assuming, by the way, I put feelers out and there was nothing there, and there probably won't be something there, I would release him if I got that cap money, because I think that what you could spend that $50 million on is better than what you're going to get out of LaVine in a vacuum next year. He's a fun player to watch, really awesome dunks. He seems like a sweet guy. He can catch fire.
Yeah.
But is Zach LaVine the guy that you could have be the number one offensive option on a winning team? He has not proven that yet. And he's 30 years old.
Yeah, I think both of them should not be the number one option.
I agree.
And I think right now they are the number one, or some combination of the number one option on this team. That's part of the problem. So, I mean, ideally on this team, if DeRozan, I don't know what your starting five would look like, but if DeRozan was your sixth man, I think you got a heck of a
But
team.
I don't think he's going to go for that.
No, I just don't think they're not set up that
because I agree with you. I think DeRozan would be a phenomenal sixth man.
Yeah.
He's not going to go for that.
And I can't figure out if, for example, and this is maybe a terrible example, but let's just say in that trade that they made, that they also just acquired Chris Paul. And I'm going to give just an experienced veteran point guard. They both, it might have worked better. I mean, maybe Paul would have found a way to get DeRozan, LaVine, like, hey, I need the right amount of shots.
You're talking a win for win?
For just this team, just in the last month and a half.
And in no world is Chris Paul a better player than Zach LaVine right now, but I agree with you. He might be a better player for this version of the Kings than Zach LaVine.
And I wasn't even saying in place of LaVine. I was saying if he was here as part of the trade.
I got you.
And then he might have been able, like, Zach, we need more. I got to get you 14 shots a game. DeMar, like, let's go. Let's move the ball. I'm going to give this to you at the right time. I don't think they had the point guard in place, but that's, I guess, the missing piece, but I don't know that I would trust that and go, hey, they're just a point guard away. I don't think that's the case.
By the way, Chris Paul made $10.4 million last year. He's a free agent. You could do worse.
Yeah.
You could do worse on a 1 year, 2 year deal.
Right.
They need a point guard. You don't need anything else out of him. I'd rather have Chris Paul playing point guard than what we have right now.
Yeah.
Move DeRozan or. And look, and by the way, if Scott Perry can move Zach LaVine for any sort of positive asset.
Yeah, and honestly, maybe the play is both.
Yeah. Yes. And that is, by the way, how incredibly sad the last less than a year has been for the Sacramento Kings. Fox is gone. Herter's gone. Mike Brown is gone. Barnes is gone. And we're sitting here talking about we release Zach LaVine for nothing, and can anybody trade DeMar DeRozan? Can the Doug Christie, Scott Perry tandem be successful? That's part of the conversation as well. We'll also go through some numbers on Doug Christie, as well as all of that other stuff. It's Kings Talk. 1-800-920-1140 is your phone line if you want to sound off. 916-339-1140 is your text line. We'll get to it next.